What's happening? Thank you for tuning in to the Still Nick Fans podcast. I'm your man Ron, and my brother John is not here today. He's taking a little moment. He's recovering, feeling a little under the weather, but he'll be back stronger and better than ever for our next podcast episode. This is Still Nick Fans. This is episode number 32. Thank you for joining us, and we appreciate having you. My man Jose is holding it down on the ones and twos in the background. Um, yes, sir. And we will have a special guest joining us shortly. But in the meantime, I'm going to be holding it down, just talking to you guys a little bit about our New York Knicks basketball team. We're going into the third preseason game. So we already got two preseason games under our belt. And it's a great thing, man. It's who would ever think out of everything that's happening right now in New York sports, we got the Yankees out of there, Mets out of there. The Giants are falling apart by the seams. They're getting hurt. You blow on them, they're turning into dust. What is happening? I have no clue. It's a tough one. Then you got the Jets. I mean, the Jets are just the Jets. I don't know what to say about the Jets. And yet, right now, knock on wood, I got to find some wood here somewhere. Oh, here we go. Knock on wood, our New York, Knicks are still doing very good, playing really good basketball in the preseason. We're staying primarily healthy right now. Maybe a couple little nicks and bruises. See what I did there? You'll see in a little bit. But we seem to be okay. Not too bad, and we're definitely playing really good, exciting basketball. I can't tell you that, I haven't been this excited for a Knick team, and I don't know how long. Probably since we found out that the Knicks were back from Amari Stoudemire, and then Carmelo came over. That was probably the most excited I've been. That 51 season team, that whole year was one of the my best moments as a Knick in recent times. Obviously, I love the Knicks from back in the day, the Patrick Ewing, the Charles Oakley, the Xavier McDaniel, the Anthony Mays, all that whole time. Even though McDaniel was only with us for a little bit of time, it felt like he was with us forever. I think that's just the impact he left. But anyway, that being said, we seem to be a team that has found a new identity. That's the best way I think we can put it. They have gone out there. They still have that defensive side of the ball where they're solid. They're still getting after it. But the offensive side of the ball it's the new look Knicks. I mean, this is a throwback to the older teams that moved the ball a lot and found the open man. Even if it meant passing the ball a number of times just to find the right shot. You got to see a lot of that so far in these first two preseason games. The Knicks are moving the ball. They're letting the offense show itself. And, we are in a situation where, I don't know if I've seen something like this in a long time. I mean, it's crazy. Like we're at that point where, this team might be one of those teams that other teams start to emulate. Imagine that. The Knicks being the laughingstock of the league for all these years, all the dysfunction, the I want to say poor ownership or lack thereof, the crazy players that we've had come and go, and the back page stories, the front page stories. I mean, we've been a hell of a franchise, and still yet one of the most profitable franchises in all of sports. It's unbelievable. But yeah, this team is moving the ball in a certain way that, it's no longer that whole isolation, the ball stops here type of mentality. And even Julius Randle has bought into it. We saw how he has changed his game, and not only got to the point where he's scoring his points, he's getting his double-digit rebounds, and he's averaging 5 or 6 assists a game. That's last year. This year, I'm expecting that number to go up. But the points there's going to be a loss somewhere. We just don't know where, because we do have a lot more talent on the team. And so Julius doesn't have to do as much. So we just got to see what his new role is going to be. We're learning it. He's learning it. And we all just have to, sit back and see how it all develops. But he's definitely going to pick up his numbers in certain categories, and he's going to, his numbers are going to be a little lower in other categories, just because it's a better group of talent around him, and that's a great thing. So hopefully Julius buys into that, and he doesn't revert or pick up a selfish mindset about him, because he's been very unselfish, very willing to get the rest of his teammates involved. He's been really good about things. So I hope that he understands that this is going to be the best way to win. You got to buy into what's happening around you and allow the team to function as a team. It's Julius Randle's team. We know that, but it doesn't mean that you got to be the centerpiece of every single thing that's happening. So he's got to continue to get everybody involved. I think another important thing to look for now is the fact that, Julius is the alpha, but you got alpha number 2 with Kemba. And we haven't even seen the best of Kemba yet. We've seen flashes of his game. He showed us his mid-range. He showed us the layup package. He's hit some threes. We see the fluidity in which he moves around with the ball, and also how he can find his teammates. But we haven't seen that Kemba that needs to take over a game when we need a bucket, and the Kemba that gets hot and is flowing, and then the Knicks are feeding him. Instead of him being a facilitator, he's out there looking for the rest, looking for the rest of his team. The team is looking for him. So we haven't seen any of that yet. That's in due time. It's all going to happen. And hopefully we don't see too much of that, to be honest, because if Kemba's still playing in the flow of the offense and he doesn't need to take 20 to 25 shots or anything crazy like that, then that means I think we're doing good. I think that means that everybody's playing their role and things are fine. So I keep hoping that I'm not in a dream. I'm not going to pinch myself and wake up and find out that this is not what I think it is. But right now, it's been fantastic, and I'm loving every minute of it. Another thing I wanted to touch on, because Derrick Rose kind of got injured in the last preseason game, and I was a little worried. And I know there's a lot of Thibodeau haters out there. There's, with the mindset that he's going to run these guys into the ground, playing them too many minutes, and things that can negatively impact the team with regards to injuries because of all that playing time. I don't think what happened to Rose was because he was tired or anything like that. It was just a fluke. It could have happened on the first play of the game. It could have happened on the last play of the game. And it turns out, at least from what they say, he's not hurt that bad. He kind of tweaked his ankle a little bit. It was nothing like what we saw with the New York Giants' Saquon Barkley. I mean, that thing ballooned up to like a volleyball. That's a softball or something. Thank goodness it was nothing like that. So this was kind of like a mild sprain. And he hopes to maybe be out there for the next game, he said. I don't think if he's not 100%, they should run him out there. They should probably, hold him out for, one or maybe even both preseason games, and just wait till the regular season. It all depends on how he's looking out there, because we're going to need him for the long haul. And I think one of the things I was noticing is that Julius Randle seems to be the team stabilizer. So when you need a bucket, or things are getting a little crazy, and you want to just kind of control everything and slow down the offense to a point where it gets a normal pace, Julius is that guy, right? But what I've noticed is in the past 2 preseason games, it looks like Derrick Rose is that person for us, especially while Julius has been out. If you notice, Derrick is the one who is moving the ball pretty consistently. Not that Kemba's not in there doing things, but it seems like Derrick is really taking control of the offense, and it's probably because he's familiar with the offense. He was here last year, so he knows it. It seems that he is out there controlling the pace, and the team is going as Derrick Rose goes. He did a great job of finding open, easy baskets for guys like Obi Toppin and Knox and several others on the team. But you also noticed that in the beginning, the Knicks got a little sloppy. They went out there. The first preseason game was a breeze, man. And just to echo the sentiments of myself and my co-host John, we both felt that the Knicks were going to win these first two preseason games, and they did that pretty convincingly. So that was definitely we were right about that. So that's a good thing. But I would say that the thing I'm noticing is that when this game started against the Wizards, they came out playing pretty much the same way, but it looked erratic because the Wizards may be a bad team this year, but for whatever reason, their defensive philosophy or the way they came out against the Knicks in the second preseason game, as opposed to how the Pacers played, they looked like they were playing much better defense. Their hands were a lot more active. Their bigs were definitely getting after it. That young guy, the rookie they have, he blocked a couple shots from the Knicks, but he also they were forcing the Knicks into making some bad passes, or should I say, they put us in a position that we made bad passes and didn't think a little better before we threw the ball, because there was turnovers happening rapidly. I know it was at least 3 turnovers in a row. It might have been 4. Rose made a couple, Fournier made a couple, and so on and so forth. RJ, everybody had their moments. So it got really sloppy out there. And to that credit, I was actually pretty excited about that. I know that sounds kind of nuts, but I'm thinking this is preseason basketball, right? Everything that's going on, all the mistakes, all the bad play is all something you can learn from. So whatever is happening that's bad in the first half, you take that, you pull from it, and you say, look, this is what we did in the first half. Look at the numbers. This many turnovers, this many missed shots. Maybe we can do this differently. So in the second half, you witnessed that the Knicks played much better basketball. And as the second half, continued going into the end of the third quarter, then they started to really get comfortable, and they kind of cut down a lot on the errors and turnovers. And it was just back to that good Knick basketball that we're starting to get used to. So I think, we got to look at everything as a positive. Everything is a learning, step, a learning moment. All these, this newfound offense, this new 3 happy Knick offense that we're seeing, which is crazy. I mean, we're watching the Knicks do something. I don't think, have I ever seen this? I'm just thinking, wow, I don't think I've ever seen this. Even in the Knicks heyday, when they had Starks, Hubert Davis, guys like that, I don't think I remember the Knicks taking this many threes. So this is definitely something new. 52 threes. I think they hit 24 of them, which is not a bad number. It's a very good ratio, but it's wild to see. I mean, I don't know. I guess this is the new NBA, and I should be happy that our Knick team is finally a part of it, because we've watched other teams like Golden State and Atlanta, Denver, I think even Utah has points like that where they shoot shoot a lot of threes. This is new for the Knicks. So I guess it's nice that we have this much talent on our roster that we can join those clubs and we can become a team that can live and die by the 3-point shot. That's right, because that's the flip side of it. You're going to live by it. You're definitely going to have a chance to die by it. So that's going to be the key for them. They're going to have to figure out what are they going to do when those moments come and the offense is stagnant, when the 3-point shots are not open for you, or if they are open, you're not hitting them, because Every night in the NBA is a different night. You know, one night you could be lights out, the next night can't find the rim. So we got to see how they react and what they do in those moments. I think they'll be okay. A lot of people have been saying to me lately in all these different talks that we've had about the Knicks that they feel like the Knicks are strong enough, offensively that they won't have an issue. And they should be okay if the offense gets stagnant. So I'm gonna believe that because we're all Knicks fans, we're all educated, and we see what's going on out there. So I'm hoping for the positive. I know what it's like to witness a team that goes out there and shoots tons and tons of threes, and they're not going in the basket, and it looks horrible. It's just bad. The game is dry. It's it's not something you love to watch, and they wind up losing usually. But hopefully that's not going to be the case with the Knicks. So I think I think one of the things that the Knicks do have to worry about is now that you have this new offense that's much more potent, you don't want to forget your principles on defense. The Knicks are one of those teams that uh, they made their way on the backs of their defense. Like before Thibodeau got to this team, the Knicks still had no identity. The Knicks were, being coached by, Fizdale, who didn't give them any true defensive structure. He didn't give them any offensive structure. So, I don't, these guys, he's a professional coach. I don't want to say he didn't put anything in place, but to a fan who's watching the game, it didn't look like it. So, Coach Fizdale, if you're out there listening, if you did put systems in place, it wasn't easy for us as fans to see it. So we didn't really have an identity, and we were still searching for it. And I think that now that Thibodeau's here and he's turned this team into a defensive team. We were first in 4 of the top defensive categories, and we were 4th overall in team defense. Um, that obviously took a hit when we lost Elfrid Payton, and we lost Reggie Bullock, most importantly, our best perimeter defender. So now that we have guys like Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker, um, you're going to see that there obviously is, a void there when it comes to defense. Kemba is very, uh, let's just say the defense, it's in his heart, but his ability say otherwise. It's a little tougher for him to be able to defend. He's undersized, and he gets beat a lot on, to the basket, and he's a liability there. So he needs to work on, figuring out ways to help his team offensively and try to stay in front of his man, or at least steer him to his help defense. And that'll be enough. That's all we can hope for from Kemba, because Kemba is that good of an offensive player that if he does these, small little things, just like staying in front of the defender, steering him to your help defense, and not giving up, easy 3-point shots. This is a 3-point league now, so people are going to be shooting, but at least if he's contesting, that'll be very big for the Knicks, and we'll have a shot to stay in these games and not get blown out. Shout out to the chat. Thank you for joining. Appreciate having you guys. I want to say salute to Miss Geraldine McIver. Thank you. You are a true still Knick fan. We appreciate you. You're always here in support, and we appreciate having you. Thank you as always. Also, just want to say big shout out to Ethan Melans, and big shout out to Stephen Mendez. I guess your question, Ethan, was how do you reckon we'll do? And I think I probably touched on that already. So hopefully I answered that. But if you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. Um, and what's up to you, Stephen Mendez? Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Um, and I think we just at that point where we are definitely going to deal with some really big highs, and there's going to be some big lows. But we'll see how the season progresses. But uh, I think we got our special guest in the building. Um, see if we can get him in here. 1 second. Get a few seconds while we get our main man situated over here. Um, but I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you. Once again, if you're just tuning in, my man John is not with us right now. He's feeling a little under the weather. I'm sure he's at home watching, giving us his support. We're holding it down for you, brother. You know what I mean? Hopefully you get better soon. We'll see you on the next one. Um, so we definitely are excited about what's taking place. And another thing that I want you guys to all know is that Still Nick Fans is here for the long haul. We're going to keep coming out and giving you guys great new content. Expect some new stuff from us in the near future. And next season, we're probably going to be starting our season 2 of Still Nick Fans. So you might see a new look from us. So definitely look out for that. Uh, on to bigger and better things. So back to our team. Um, Another thing I wanted to touch on, because I know it's come up on different sports podcasts and on sports radio, is Julius Randle. Right? We know Julius was out and he missed the second preseason game due to the birth of his new child. Congratulations, Julius! Wish you all the best, you and your wife, and your little son. New addition to the family. That's great news. So you know, definitely happy and excited for you. But one of the things that people were talking about was watching the Knicks play without Julius. You know, you got some Nick haters out there, but you also got some we want to win it all now type guys too. And they were saying, uh, hey, Knicks look pretty good without Julius. Do we even need him? Pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. Okay. We definitely need Julius Randle. Okay. He is a part of our squad. This is his team. Just because we play well without him doesn't mean that he's not needed. So we definitely need to relax with all that slander. Um, what we did notice is that it's not a one-man team. So that's great. As Knick fans, we should really be excited about that. Um, oh, hold on. I think we really have to really, temper ourselves. The Knicks are not in a position to go get Bradley Beal or Damian Lillard or any of these guys that are out there. It doesn't just happen right away. And plus, no one's really showed that they want to be here with the New York Knicks. So let's work with what we got. Love the team we've been blessed with, and keep building with Julius, because this is his team right now, and he is going to continue to give his all for us. You see how hard he's working, and he definitely wants to make up and atone for how the playoffs ended last year. He feels really, if you watch him in his interviews, he definitely feels like the burden, everything's on his back. It's all on his shoulders. So he's definitely ready to step up and get us to out in the playoffs and maybe out that first round. So let's give it a little shot. Let's see if we can get our special guest back up in here. See if he's with us. A couple more minutes. Okay. All right. So, another thing that I was hearing we got to really look at is RJ Barrett slander. RJ Barrett has done nothing but play solid basketball. He's still, improving. Every game he seems to be doing something new in my eyes. Sometimes, yes, of course, this is the NBA. He's a young NBA player. He's going to have some games where his shot is not going well, or he makes a bad pass, or his defensive effort may be lacking on certain instances. But if you look at how he's, progressively improving, each game seems to be getting better. The first preseason game, he played adequate defense. I don't know necessarily, like, off the top of my head, I can't remember who he was guarding specifically, but he was playing adequate defense. And at certain points, the Knicks were able to go on runs because of that defense. Now, in game 2 against the Washington Wizards, it was a lot more prevalent as to who he was guarding, because he was guarding Bradley Beal, and he did a really good job against Bradley Beal. That may be because of the fact that RJ is improving on defense, and he's starting to work on his footwork, and he's doing different things that will allow him to be in better position to stop the opponent. But I also kind of feel like RJ worked out with Bradley Beal this offseason, and so they have a really good familiarity. I think they kind of know each other's tendencies, and I think that helped them a lot. So, like, when Bradley might have been doing his post up or his back down or looking for a certain spot, RJ knew exactly where he was going. So I think that helped him a little bit. So what I want to see is, in the next game, is RJ going to go out there, and is he going to have that same defensive intensity? Is he going to be playing in the same fashion, same style against whoever he's guarding? Because if he does that, then we know this is a new RJ Barrett, and he's definitely improved on the defensive end. So we got to just give it some time, temper expectations, because you know what? This is real life. This is learning on the job, man. This is what we would expect from anybody. It's what we teach our young ones. Go out there, practice, give your 100% effort, and while you're out there doing it, you learn. And that's what RJ is doing. He's still a very young guy. This is a beautiful thing, man, to have these Knicks, basically learn as they go and watch them to get better. Can't really, I don't know what to say. I'm on cloud 9, really. Um, Another thing that I want to say is that I think that you know Evan Fournier is another intriguing person that he's kind of getting a little bit of a bad rap. All right, so you know what? I think we're ready for our special guest. Let's bring him in. Um, Welcome to the show, from the NBK Network, host of Knicks and Bruises, the one and only Mr. Tony Crow. What's happening?
Ron, I'm sorry about my lateness, but I'm here. I appreciate you having me on. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right. I'm all right, man. I'm happy to have you in the building. And listen, maybe everybody doesn't know, but if y'all don't know, Tony Crow is a part of one of the hardest working networks on YouTube as far as any podcast, and definitely when it comes to Knicks sports podcast. He's had a full day today. I think he's been on. This is his third show. So
It is,
yeah,
and I got one.
there's been
I
a
got
lot
one
going
right
on.
after this.
Oh my God! Wow, yo. So thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. So listen, just in case people are not that familiar, because I know when I joined your show, Knicks and Bruises, I wasn't that familiar with the format and how it's set up. Can you tell a little bit about to the people about how your show is set up?
Oh, absolutely. So first off, it is called Knicks and Bruises. I started the show prior to last season starting. But I had the thought of the show a year prior to that. And basically it was the Knicks fans, we've dealt with a lot of bad seasons, a lot of turmoil, a lot of quote unquote Knicks and bruises over the years, you know, supporting this team. And I really had a feeling the season, our fortune was turning around. But what I wanted to do was, highlight some of these bad experience us Knicks fans dealt with. So it's really like, I get a guest on, you'll talk about your three worst, very worst moments will be the bruises, and then three like little nicks that you dealt with as a Knicks fan over the years. Um, and then once we get all that bad energy out, we could start talking about the new roster, the new regime, the front office, all the positive things that are ahead of us. But so that's basically what the channel is about in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, and it's pretty dope, pretty dope. I was pleasantly surprised because I had mentioned to you I've watched a lot of your content, but usually for whatever reason, every time I would look, I would see you in your panel discussion modes and those shows where everybody's going, excuse me, going back and forth. So for whatever reason, I missed the Knicks and Bruises. So when I had my opportunity, I was like, oh, this is really cool. So yeah, and
Appreciate it.
unfortunately, when I
Appreciate
look,
it.
yeah, thank you for having me on, man. And when I look back at the episode, there was so many nicks and bruises I thought of. I was like, ah, yeah,
You know
man.
what? It's always like that. And the thing I love about it is I kind of no two shows are gonna be the same. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
even though a lot of us fans have the same bad memories, you know what I mean? The older you are, you might have some other ones. The younger you are, you're gonna focus on some of the more recent ones. Um,
right.
I had my guy Andy on, who's in Poland, international Andy, and his whole episode was about how difficult it was for him to even watch the Knicks because of the time difference.
Wow.
The internet not being available at the time when he was a young Knicks fan. Um, them only showing maybe one or two NBA games a week in his country. So he had to be lucky enough for it to be a Knick game, things like that. So even that blew my mind. Like he took the show to a whole different place that I never even thought of as far as being a
Wow.
fan overseas.
Wow. Yeah. No, I could understand that. Andy's a real good guy. I like watching him. And now that I have spoken, to him in certain avenues, yeah, yeah, really cool. Really cool. Um, so I was going over a bunch of different things. And I touched on the stabilizer question that I had kind of brought up earlier, that you may not have seen. Um, I know in the past we talked about Julius Randle being a stabilizer for the Knicks, and his impact being out of the lineup and coming back into it. But when I was thinking about all that, I thought about Derrick Rose and how his impact is and how he was controlling both preseason games. Like even though I mean it's set up so that Kimba's the man, right? But Derrick still seems to be the one that is the focal point of
Mhm.
this team. And I think you guys had a conversation about on your show. I think it was about injuries and how they would fare if people started to go down in different situations. I gotta say, I think Derrick Rose might be one of those that could be one of the biggest pieces because if you have, outside of Kimba, you think of Quickly. Quickly's still not a true point guard and is still learning, and then McBride is not NBA ready yet. So I wonder what you think about that.
I agree. When you first started talking, I didn't know where you were going, but the first thing that came to my mind was Derrick Rose. So I agree 100%. I think he loves the role he's in as far as coming off the bench, being a mentor to these young guys, um, being able to be the evolved Derrick Rose and not have to be the superstar or the MVP Derrick Rose. So he's comfortable in the player he's become, and he could just give 110% in the role that
Right.
he's in. But I agree 100%. You think about the last preseason game, Kemba kind of got off to a bad start. Um, you know, was not really being effective defensively, and his shot wasn't falling early. And you
Right.
could tell as soon as Derrick Rose came in, it kind of shifted things for us, stabilized, like you would say. So
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. I think at least in this early part of the year, Derrick is really important. So, God forbid, I hope he doesn't get hurt at all. But if he were to get hurt later in the middle of the season after this new offensive, style of play has been carried out for a number of games and everybody's comfortable, and the younger guys like Quickly and even I don't know if we see Deuce, but if Deuce is a part of the rotation at some point, if we get a bunch of games under our belt and they start to get more comfortable, then I could say that, all right, maybe we'll be okay. But if something were to happen to Rose now, early in the season, and we just had Kimba orchestrating a new offense for him, I think
Hmm.
we'd be in a little tough situation. It'd be a little learning curve right there, and we might struggle in the early games. But God forbid that doesn't happen. So I think we should be okay. But that's just how valuable I think Derrick Rose is.
Oh, I agree. I
Um,
agree. Um, and he's clutch. You think about him coming in last year, he kind of came in and fit seamlessly. It was no adjustment period for him. You know what I mean? He
right.
came in
Yeah.
and won his games immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he definitely did. And I was so glad when they brought him back. So I'm definitely happy he's here. Um, Shout out to the chat. Thanks to Queen's Court. What's up, Steph? Thanks for joining. And big shout out to Cornelius Thomas, the Prophet, aka big friend of the show. Thank you for tuning in. And I see Steph says she agrees we need Rose. So I'm with you on that, Steph. He's definitely a big part of the team. Um, Another thing that I was just starting to touch on right before you joined up, was Evan Fournier. I feel like as Knick fans, I don't know if it's because he's European. I don't know if it's because he's primarily been on a bad team for a lot of his career. Um, I say Orlando was not. They weren't a horrible team, but they weren't one of the top, upper echelon teams. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on his game. I think they don't understand his grit. He might be more of a New Yorker than a lot of the guys we got on the team. So I think people need to really take a look at Evan. And he's already talked a little bit about his background and his upbringing and the fact that his parents are judo champs, and he's grown up in tough, rigid, type of upbringing, and he doesn't back down from anything. He doesn't take anything from nobody. We've seen him go back and forth with NBA players, namely Kevin Durant. They seem to have had a lot of nice little altercations going back and forth. So I think first off, you got to understand that Evan's a hard nosed vet, um, and he plays with a different type of chip on his shoulder. However, he is European, and so his fundamental style is different. He plays the game in a different way. He's more of a X's and O's guys, back cuts, try to make the right pass, try to do things. Now, has he been perfect so far in the preseason? No. The first preseason game, I think he went out there and he was great. The second preseason game, not so much. And I think the struggles and were a little bit evident from not just him but a lot of guys. What do you think about Evan Fournier's game?
I like him, man. I like the addition. I like that he's a all around guy. Um, I think just as much as his scoring, I think we're gonna have to. I'm not gonna say rely on, but the fact that he could facilitate is gonna come in so handy. He's not just a shooter. He can put the ball
Mm-hmm.
on the floor. And one of the real things I love about this team, the way it's assembled now, with the two additions and the growth we're witnessing from the players that have been here already, is Kemba didn't have a great game last game. Fournier wasn't outstanding last game. Randall wasn't there. Mitch wasn't there. Noel wasn't there. Um, we're a deep team. We're gonna find ways to win with the guys that we have on any given night. Um, we haven't seen the best of Fournier yet, so I'm looking forward for him to even. I don't know what his ultimate role is gonna be, but I know he's gonna win us some games. You know what I mean? He's gonna have
Right.
his Fournier moments. So I'm looking forward to that from him. I'm looking forward to that from Kemba as well, because even if they're not having great games here and there, there's gonna be moments where these guys are gonna win us a game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or a couple games. So that's what I'm looking forward to. It's a big change from where we ended the season last year, and how we have so many guys that could dribble, shoot, pass.
Yeah.
It's gonna make
Yeah.
a difference.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I like Evan Fournier a lot. I think he's a really good addition to the team, and I think these fans are going to learn to love him. I think he's going to be one of a lot of us gravitate towards guys like RJ, and people love the young guys and Deuce, but I think Evan's going to wind up being a lot of people's favorites. They're going to be their favorite Nick as time goes by. I had a quick question for you, because before you joined us, I was talking about Julius Randle and some of the questions that I've been seeing floating around, or listening when I was listening to talk radio. People, there's always going to be a certain population of Nick haters, or even Nick um, people who think too much of what this team could become too fast. Guys that think, hey, well, man, the second preseason game, Knicks put up 117 points without Julius. They look pretty good, actually. I mean, do they even really need him? You know, uh, maybe it's a point where instead of having him on the team, we could use Julius to get a big chip, go out there and get us a Damian Lillard or a Bradley Beal. Like, so I was kind of giving my take on all of that. What do you think about that? The people who think that way.
Um, we don't think the same. Those me and those people. Um, Julius. I mean, just look at what he's done. Look at the improvement, the most improvement he's made from the first year here to the second. Look at the accolades. Obviously, most improved. All NBA second team. Um, fifth in MVP votes.
Right,
And then
right,
just look at the eye test. Take the accolades away, and look at how he struggled being the number one guy for the first time in his career, and then how he adjusted come a year later. Um,
hmm
and then when you talk about moving him for, let's just say a Dame Lillard, without Randall, first of all, that's not going to work because we're going to have to move at least one of those point guards, as well. Um,
right.
but let's say we didn't have Kemba and we did that move. Is this team without Randall, but with um, Lillard, is that better than Portland right now? Or is that better than Portland over the last 3 or 4 years? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's at the very least, it's a lateral move. It's not. It's not a step up. Um, if we were going for one of those big game hunters, that player has to be brought here to play with Randall, not for Randall. and that's just my take.
Right.
I don't want to move lateral. If we're not going to make a move, I'm happy with where we are and the potential of where we could be with the growth of RJ. You know, with the healthy Kemba, with a healthy Rose, with them splitting 24 minutes instead of one of them playing 36 a night. I think the ceiling is still high for us the way we are, and a lateral move it does nothing. Or
Right.
I don't even know if it's lateral. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
not saying Randall's better than Lillard. That's just saying that makes no sense. If you're not pairing them, it makes no sense.
I agree with you, and I think that's what a lot of people need to wake up and understand that, the way this team has been, constructed is the best that we could hope for. You can't be greedy and want it all overnight. Everything is a process. All of these teams, say what you will, even about the big threes and big fours, whatever the hell they are, it didn't happen overnight. These guys all played on different teams and went through struggles and all this stuff. And even the guy we love to hate, LeBron James, went through his struggles in Cleveland and those days before he decided to come to our backyard and dump all over us before he went to Miami. But the point is, these teams aren't built overnight. So look at this like I'm saying this is year two. Is it really year two? Probably not from where this whole thing started, but in my mind, last year was the first real year of this team, right? So now this is where we build. Last year we made it to the playoffs. This year I expect us to go back into the playoffs, get into the second round, maybe come out the second round. We'll see. So if you're watching where the trajectory is going, that means I'm saying after this year, I expect the next year we should be in, title contention. I'm expecting us to get to the Eastern Conference Finals and see what happens from there. That's the trajectory that I'm looking at, and I think Coach Tibbs is on a 5-year deal, so being a title contender in year three probably be something he's looking forward to as well. I think that might be part of his plan.
I mean, I can see that. My only pushback would be, even though we didn't have Tibbs, I'm not going to take away, Julius's first year, because without that experience,
Mm.
he doesn't make the leap that he made. You know what I mean? So, but I agree with you 100%. You got, it's stages, it's steps. You can't. What does Tibbs say? You can't skip a step. You know what I mean? So you have to progress before you can get to the top. And you got to take your
Right.
lumps. Every single team throughout the league has gone through that. Um, I mean, if maybe one team, you know what I mean, just went up there and got it. I can't think of them right now, but every team goes through their lumps. Name the last 5 to 10 champions, and they went through their lumps before they got to the mountaintop. We got to go through our lumps. Granted, us Knicks fans, we dealt with our lumps over the years, right? That's what Knicks and Bruises is about. But
Right.
like you said, we're starting from year. This is year 2 in my brain. This is year 3. You know what I mean? So you gotta enjoy the progression and don't take it for granted. You know what I mean? You, but again, like, you can't skip steps.
No, I agree with you. It's very important to go with the process. It doesn't happen overnight. Um, Another one of the things that I was thinking about is the fact that I mean, he's probably been mentioned everywhere you can think of. See, this is one of those anomaly moments where even people who aren't Knick fans, they understand what's going on. They understand something weird has happened, and that weird thing being Kevin Knox going out there in Game 2 of the preseason and getting himself 12 points and 6 rebounds. It was a beautiful thing to see. Here's my question: you take Kevin Knox away from this team. I'm not shipping him out, people. I like Kevin Knox. I want him on the Knicks. I want him to be here for the long haul. But just say you take Kevin Knox, You take him off of this team and you put Kevin on maybe the Orlando Magic or the Oklahoma City Thunder or even the Detroit Pistons. Do you think that if he were to be on one of those three teams, he would be the second best option for them? Not the first, but maybe the second best?
I mean, it's conceivable. Second, maybe third. The what I can say is he'd be better. His numbers would be better. A lot of
Mhm.
times, just in the league in general, the easiest way to success, or the only way to success, is opportunity. You know what I mean? So
Right,
if you're not getting the opportunity, you can't do any, you can't show anything. You can't produce without minutes. You know what I mean? And again, I'm being general. I'm not talking specifically about Knox. But if you just look at when he had the most opportunity, the most freedom, the least pressure, he had the best numbers his rookie year. The more pressure he got, the less minutes he got, the less structure he got, the worse he played. And this is not me blaming the organization, because a lot of that falls on him individually, his motor, his effort,
right.
his drive. But you can't do anything with the motor, with drive, with effort, without opportunity. So I agree. I think if he goes somewhere where he's going to play 25, 30 minutes, yeah, his numbers are going to look a lot better.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think that's kind of what I want to portray to the fans out there to understand. Kevin Knox is not a bum. He is an NBA player, and given the right amount of time, he will light it up for any team if he gives the opportunity and time. Obviously, he has his own work to do. He's got to do what he needs to do out there on the floor, whether it be on the defensive end or other things to help out on the offensive side, rebounding, assist, finding guys, whatever he needs to do. But given the opportunity, you allow this guy to go out there and score, he can get some baskets. So let's just all think about that when we talk about Kevin Knox. He's definitely an NBA player. He's still learning, and the kid he's still 22 years old. Been in the
22.
league
Yeah.
his fourth year, and he's 22 years old. It's unbelievable.
And can I just add,
Yes.
if it's not just the opportunity, what I mean? Well, I think this was the best thing for him, whether it's for him on the Knicks or for him going somewhere else. Being held accountable, um, you know, being relegated to the bench, to situational lineup, um, being held accountable. It, if if nothing else is gonna drive him, that is, you know what I mean? Like, almost has one foot out the league. If you're gonna argue that point, you got a valid point. Like, I'm not saying no team will pick him up, but it's not gonna be half the league trying to pick him up in free
Right.
agency.
Right.
But if you just give it to a guy and don't make him earn it, he's never gonna grow. You know what I mean? He's gonna
Hmm.
peak early, but once he peaks, that's gonna be it for him. Everything is gonna be felt to be expected, and I think Knox is in a position now where, whether it's for us or for anybody else, he's gonna appreciate his time in the league. He's gonna appreciate his opportunities. He's gonna make the most of them. Um, and I see that for him moving forward, whether it's for the Knicks or for another team.
Right. Right. Um, Shout out to the chat. Jarvis Williams says Knox is 22. Time still to grow. That's correct. That's what we've been saying. Profit Average. I'm just gonna call you Prophet, bro. I mean, you're a friend of the show. I'm not saying that whole name. I'm not doing it. Prophet says, I need to see Knox in a regular season. I'm not buying into his game if he can't rebound or defend. That's
I
understandable,
mean,
but I will fight
but
back
he
with
showed
that, and I'll
improvement in
say,
both.
yes, he did, because he played 20 minutes in that second preseason game. He had 12 points and 6 rebounds. Now, this is 12 points and 6 rebounds. Um, you know, mind you, that we had other guys, other bigs out there getting rebounds. And Jericho Sims had 13 rebounds, and he was pretty much controlling the paint, trying to, snatch up everything he can get. So the fact that Knox still was out there on the perimeter shooting the threes and still wound up with 6 rebounds, it says a lot about him trying to do what he needs to do to stay on the team. Granted, let's be real here. We know that he's playing for his NBA life on the Knicks. He is definitely trying to do whatever he can to stay out there, right? But I think this is something he could do easy. I mean, this is not hard for the guy. The guy is 6'8", 6'9", with a 6'10", 6'11" wingspan, whatever it is. He should be able, and he can jump, he can leap. He should be able to get these rebounds, and he definitely can shoot. So I think we'll see a little bit more from him going forward, provided he gets the minutes. Jarvis Williams says, DSJ, Moutier, Frank, Ron Baker, Damien Dotson. Now those guys will bust. Listen, I wasn't a big fan of those guys, but I did like Ron Baker. I'm telling you, Ron Baker could ball a little bit. Of course, he's already out the league. He's retired, I believe, at an early age. But it is what it is, man. Sometimes you get those situations where you either just don't get the right mix of player, or it's not the right system for that player. But I still, out of all those players that you mentioned there, I like Damien Dotson's game, man. He's the one that I always felt like he could have been a part of the Knicks in some form of capacity. He played very good defense, perimeter defense, and the guy could shoot a little bit. He was streaky shooter, but he could shoot a little bit. So I miss Damien Dotson, So wherever he's at, I hope he's doing good.
And speaking of Ron Baker, it wasn't about his talent. It was really about his effort. That's what got him a $4 million a year contract. And I don't know if he deserved it, but he fought for it. So in that sense, he did deserve it. You know what I mean? He fought harder than anybody else on that team, and that's why he had a roster spot, underdog the whole way, but listened, learned, produced. So not only do you need opportunity, but you need to produce when you get the opportunity. So that's where back to Knox, I think that's where it's going to end up falling. He's going to be the first one to get the opportunity when you talk about the first guy out of that after the 10-man rotation. But he might not get more than one opportunity. If he don't produce on that first chance, he's going to move down the ladder. Someone else, one of these young guys, is going to move up the ladder. So at this point, he's really going to have to take advantage. It was nice to see in that second game, but like that gentleman in the chat, Prophet, I think it was him. I got to see it in the regular season.
Yeah. And Prophet also said that you need to build value with Knox and then deal him. Which, I mean, listen, that may be the case. The one thing that we know is a fact. If you haven't seen it already, definitely take a look at the first 2 preseason games and just look at the roster. There's a lot of talent on this team. There's a lot of guys that are fighting for playing time and different situations, different scenarios where we could use all of them, but we can't use all of them, and Tibbs is not going to use all of them. So it may come down to a point where, we'll say, hey, maybe we could use Knox in a package or something to get another valuable asset or something that can help the team in the long run going forward. But all that stuff is going to be one. We have to weigh our options, and Thibodeau and the rest of the organization is going to have to look at how the Knicks play, look at what their strengths are, and if there's any deficiencies that they still have to address. Because so far it looks like they've done a really good job, in the offseason addressing some of the issues they had last year in the playoffs, especially. What do you think about that, Tony?
I think they addressed every issue they had in the playoffs.
Yeah.
With the exception of, we haven't seen Mitchell Robinson yet, because I think that was one thing that was missing, that was still on a missing piece that was on the team. But as far as a missing piece that wasn't on the team, and the deficiencies that we had at the two spots offensively, addressed 100%. And you take that into account with the progression of RJ. Whether you think Randall can improve, if he stays right where he was, that's good enough. But I think he can improve. So if he improves, this team can be scary.
No, I agree with you. It's all about giving people the opportunity to do what they need to do for themselves, and prove that they need to be out there, and that Tibbs needs to find a way to play them. But yeah, it's all up to them. So right now we're going to get into what we normally do, which is basically our predictions for the next two preseason games going forward. Let me just double check here. I believe the next game is with the Detroit Pistons on Wednesday. And then right after that, we got the Washington Wizards again, right? Let me just double check something.
At the Garden.
Okay, yeah. That's right, on October 15th. Yeah, so those are the next two games. But before I get into that, I just want to once again give a shout out to everyone tuning in. Thank you guys for joining us and being active in the chat. We appreciate you. Big shout out to everyone at the NBK Network, from Simeon Russell, obviously Tony Crow's with us right now, to the Queen, Steph, to Andy and Nate, all of these people. And big shout out to Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, and the Controversy show that he has. So I want to just give a shout out to all of y'all. Appreciate y'all. Some big things in the works. So this is just a great network, great bunch of people, and I'm glad that we are a part of you guys. That being said, I also, thank you, man. Thank you. I also want to give a special shout out to my man from Blorange Tears, Uncle Freezy. Thank you, my brother. He's been really, really cool with me and giving me a lot of wisdom, and he's also been very forthright and always, helping to put my show on the map. So thank you. Appreciate it. So shout out to all y'all, and please, everybody out there, check out all of their shows. Tony Crow's Knicks and Bruises, Steph's Queen's Court, Sims, Nothing But Knicks, whatever he's got going on, because he's got a bunch of shows. Check out Uncle Fulio's The Controversy, and definitely check out Blorange Tears. They're all great shows, great people. So that being said, it's a mouthful.
Yes.
What do you think about these next two preseason games? Me and my co-host John both said that the Knicks were going to win these first two. I didn't know they were going to win them so easily, but if I want to see what's your take on it. These next two games, we got the Detroit Pistons up next on Wednesday, and then we got the Washington Wizards again 2 days later. So that's Friday, I believe.
I'm going undefeated, man. 4-0. 4-0.
Yes, sir.
I think we might get an opportunity to see the young guys next game a little bit. I mean, I'm not like sold on it. Maybe I'm like wishful thinking. I hope we see the young guys next game. Maybe kind of see where they fare against the if you want to say elite of the draft. But we if you followed college, Deuce had a pretty good game against Cunningham. Kind of locked them down a little bit. So that would be interesting and nice to see where the young guys fare against their young guys. But ultimately, I mean, if Tibbs does what he normally does and rocks out with that 10-man lineup, that benching the starters, it should be another blowout. As far as the last game against the Wizards, I think RJ did a tremendous job on Beal. I think Beal is gonna come out and try to drop 40 in the Garden. But I don't know if that's gonna be enough to even beat us. I think for them to beat us, Beal's he can't try to beat us by himself. So even if he does try to go for 40, I think that's to our advantage. So yeah, I'm going 4-0.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you nailed it, Tony. I agree with you. I think that this next game against Detroit could be a tough one for Detroit. Looks like they played the Memphis Grizzlies tonight, and they lost 127-92. So they're a rough team. And the other thing is, so I was hoping, because we know that little battle, and of course Tibbs knows about it. I mean, he's a student of the game. He studies all this, and obviously they scouted McBride. It would be nice if Cade Cunningham played for them and Deuce got a chance to go out there and match up with him a little bit, it could be a high possibility because they might rest Derrick Rose at least for one preseason game and use him on Friday. So it's a chance. However, I'm noticing that Cade Cunningham didn't play this game, and if I looked at the injury report, I saw that he was hurt. I don't know how bad it is. It might not be that big of a deal, but don't know when we're actually going to really see him. So
that game is in Detroit.
That game is.
If it's in the Garden, he's playing.
You know what? My little list here, it doesn't tell me exactly where the game is. Okay. But yeah, I'll check.
If it's in the Garden, he's playing. If it's in Detroit and we resting Rose, he's running from that Deuce smoke.
Oh, yeah. No, it's in the Garden. Yep. It's in the Garden, so that should be interesting. So I guess that means, wow, so that means that I thought it was going to be a 50-50 split. That means the Knicks getting 3 home games because they already played the Wizards in Washington. And so that means Detroit's at the Garden, and then the Washington should be coming to the Garden as well. Yeah, I would think.
Yep. They are.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I like the Knicks winning both those games. I think they should be pretty comfortable wins for us. I'm not going to say a blowout in that Wizards game because I think you're right, man. I think Beal does, he's a prideful guy. I don't think he liked the way he showed up in that second game. So I think he's going to try to come out and light it up. If anything, he's going to get his. So we'll see. And if RJ can hold him down again, then we might be seeing something with RJ, man. That might be a telltale sign that RJ's for real on the defensive end. At least he's trying to be.
I agree. At this point, man, I'm really looking forward to opening night and seeing who RJ matches up with there. Because
right.
I mean, being honest, neither one of those guys is, talking Brown or Tatum is a cakewalk for him. You know what I mean? So that's where the challenge. The first game of the season. I love it. You know what I mean? Who you guarding and what you gonna do with them?
Yeah, that's gonna be.
And
tough,
honestly,
man,
I think I like him matched up more against Tatum than Brown.
Really?
I do. I I think they have similar strengths or actual strength in Brown and RJ. I don't know if his strength will be the advantage that it is against most people that he lines up with. Now, granted, Tatum got a lot stronger this year, supposedly, allegedly. But I just like I like the challenge, him accepting the challenge of guarding a Tatum, and maybe not having to deal with Brown's strength against him.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean you may be right. That may be the better matchup for him. I tell you one thing, it's going to be tough because it's interesting because with that team, I mean it's Tatum and Brown. You neutralize Tatum and Brown, chances of winning the game are pretty high, pretty strong because those guys combined for 50 points a game. That's a tough duo. So I think I like the idea of maybe RJ matching up with Tatum. Maybe that might be the better look. And the fact that RJ did gain a little bit more height, because that's what when I'm thinking about RJ, I still think of him being that 6'6" guard, not the fact that he might be 6'8" now. And I think is Tatum 6'8" or 6'9"? I think he's one of those, maybe.
Yeah,
he
one
could
of
be
those.
6'7" actually.
One of those.
Yeah.
I think he's 6'8" or 6'9".
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So that might be a better matchup for him. Because one thing about Jaylen Brown that people don't give him credit, and actually I'm gonna give Prophet a shout out. I was talking to him earlier about this. He's pretty efficient. He's very efficient, this guy. So he don't stay on the court all the time. He always gets hurt, but when he's out there, he's pretty efficient. So
yeah, I agree.
Oh.
I like Brown too. I just can't give him too much props right now because shout out to B Smooth. He's a Boston fan. I had on my show, and we've been kind of going back and forth on each other's channels.
Yeah,
we got something coming up soon.
I knew you were gonna say something about that. I see where you. let's not give him too much ammunition, right? Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if he gonna copy and paste it,
Right. Well, yeah, man. That's pretty much what I have for today's show. I thank you for joining me. I know this has been a crazy busy day for you, and the day ain't even over yet. I appreciate you finding time to make it work. Thank you for joining me. Is there anything you'd like to shout out or say?
Well, first off, I appreciate you having me. I apologize on my tardiness. But as you know, long day, podcast after podcast after podcast. I'm about to go jump on the front stoop with Sim. That's our little hip hop life and society channel. We're doing underground radio today, so that won't be too long. But if you guys are free, check it out. The front stoop. But definitely, man, thank you for appreciate you having me on. I'm glad I still made it on. Because I kept looking at the time and I'm like, man, I hope he's not relying on me, one, and two, I hope I still make it on. But I'll definitely make it up to you and get on full length whenever you free and we could work it out. But salute to you. Salute to John as well. You say he's under the weather. Hope he feels better. And shout out to your chat, and your blackest time as always.
Yes. Thank you once again for being here. Oh, and because I already know a little bit about it, yeah, definitely you guys. I mean, leave right from here, jump on over to the front stoop with Tony Crow and Sim and his special guest. They've got a lot of good stuff in the works. They even have a contest that any of you aspiring artists would be interested in. This is a chance for you to be a part of a competition, and that competition will grant you free studio time. And we're not talking about a couple hours, a couple half an hour sessions, anything like that. We're talking about, I think they mentioned something about a full day, like 12 hours of studio time.
12 hours.
You guys,
that's right.
a record, you might be able to cut like an EP or even a full record if you come out there prepared. So that's a great opportunity. So definitely check out the Front Stoop. That's a part of the MBK network with Simeon Russell. And thanks again for everybody tuning in. Once again, I want to give a shout out to my co-host, John. Wish you were here, buddy. You know, it's funny. Every time we get you on, Tony, we haven't been able to talk to you as a tandem. It's either one or the other. You know, when you're on your show, right? Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So next time we got to get you back on when it's both of us here.
We'll figure it out, man. I see you guys do like to come on late. So, I mean, it don't even got to be a Monday or Wednesday. As long as I'm home, you know what I mean? I'm down to do it. So.
All right. Sounds good, man. Sounds good. So we'll definitely keep that in mind. We'll look to get you on in the future. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, you know, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. If you want to find us, you can find us at Still Knick Fans on Twitter or Still Knick Fans on Instagram. Look forward to some of the new stuff that we'll be working on and doing in the future. Don't forget, next week is going to be our new season of Still Knick Fans. A little bit of a new look. Going into the new NBA regular season with the Knicks, so stay tuned for that. And obviously, you can find Tony Crow on the MBK network, and you catch him at Knicks and Bruises. Definitely shout him out. So this has been great. Once again, thanks, Tony. Out there, love you guys. Tell a friend to tell a friend who tells another friend. Definitely like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. We out of here.
It's a litmus test just to see who's best. Roll the dice, break the pipe, and let's see who's next. Run a John on the mic, talking New York Knicks. We be rooting and recruiting for the boot camp click. Take a step back, take a minute. Talk trash, but we in it. Let's go now, cause we winning. All you haters, gon' be living. Run amok, knuckle up, ain't no New York punk. Step it up, keep it clutch, have the Midas touch.